Lawyers, which hold my briefcase stunt turn victory into instant disaster. Story 1. I'm putting my extremely profoundly disabled 7-year-old into a residential facility so I can forget he exists. I'm not sorry. I can't tell anyone this, even my therapist. Lambast me if you want her, and maybe I even deserve it. I only ask what you would do if you were in my situation. Not what you think people should do, what you would really do. I'm a single mom of 2 boys, 12 and 7. My husband passed away 3 years ago in a work accident. A very large portion of me believe it was a suicide. I can't see him ever making the mistake he made that caused his death. And he had taken an action just before that which ensured his co-workers weren't in the room. I fully believe he killed himself because of our younger son, and no one will ever change my mind. We were told when I was pregnant that he would have Down syndrome. We could handle that, even if it was severe. It turned out he has a chromosome deletion. His disorder is kind of rare, so I won't post which specific one, but suffice to say he'll never be anything more than he is now or has ever been. And what he is nothing. He doesn't appear to have any awareness and never has. His eyes are locked in one position. He doesn't respond to noise, touch, or pain. He is total care. He is capable of nothing. He is tube-fed and on oxygen. He is in diapers and will be forever. He makes no sounds, no attempts to communicate. He never even really cried as a baby. He has never made an attempt to interact with anyone or his environment. I'm not upset because I got a special needs imperfect child. I feel the way I feel because this thing takes up 200% of my time and does nothing. I didn't get an imperfect child. I didn't get a child. I don't love him. He doesn't have any personality. There is nothing to love. And yet I'm responsible for him. In addition to his extreme delays, he's also medically fragile. Respiratory crises, fecal infections, his autonomic nervous system doesn't function properly, issues with his G-tube infections, pressure sores no matter what we put him on or how we position him. Our older son has suffered because his non-existent brother has colored everything in his life. He's had medical care get delayed because there's only one of me, and Ho's brother is more critical. We do have a visiting home nurse, but only 20 hours a week, and we aren't eligible for more. I was starting law school. I gave up my dreams and my plan for my children for this potato. My older son can't do a lot of things he wants to do because of the younger's need for care and appointments. The final straw was I heard a sound. I went into younger son's room to check, thinking he had forgotten how to breathe again. And so older son hitting him and screaming, "You're why I don't have a mother. You're why I don't have a father. You're why I can't have friends over. You're why I can't be in sports. I didn't ask for you and I hope you die." Instead of being horrified, I watched. And younger son just did not react. No signs of pain or fear or upset. No reaction at all. He breathes, but he is not alive. He doesn't know who I am. He doesn't know who older son is. He has no sense of self, life experience, or awareness of his surroundings. He doesn't need to be in my home. He doesn't know or care where he is. He is genetically my son, but he is not family. My previously abused, brain-damaged cat who can't walk straight has more personality and is far more lovable than my child. In fact, I was looking forward to raising a Downs baby, even one with severe impairments. For that reason, with disability can come gifts. This boy is not a gift. He's a genetic mistake. I probably should have miscarried and would have definitely terminated if I'd known he would be like this. And the flip side is, if he has awareness, he's miserable. And there is nothing I can do. If he has likes and dislikes, no one knows what they are. If he is in pain, he can't tell anyone. If he wants anything, he can't communicate. He's had every imaginable therapy. Nothing has made a difference. And so he's leaving our home on the 29th. I feel excited and relieved, and then guilty because I know we'll be happier with him gone. He's already taken my husband and my son's father. He was working so much OT to pay for the cucumber's care, for the experimental therapies insurance wouldn't cover, because this one was going to be the breakthrough. He was tired and defeated and disappointed. He sought counseling as well. But I don't think he could ever say the words, "I don't want my son in my home" either. He's ruined my older son. I was so wrapped up on the younger I never realized how ignored and damaged he was. He lost his father too. I didn't just lose my husband. He is my priority now, and this malignant lump can be someone else's problem. At least they'll be payday wage to care for him. At least they'll get a break from him when they punch out. I just want to never think of him again, and I'm not sorry. And for that, I'm sorry. Thanks for reading. Edit. Thanks you Picaniques for calling me a liar. Are you a medical doctor? If your Google foo was any good, you would have stumbled on 3P mosaic deletion duplication syndrome. That is the disorder my son has. I've basically identified myself by posting that, but hey, it's better than the P mistelling me to kill myself. If you look at the features of 3P deletion syndromes, they look like Downs. My insurance didn't cover AFP testing, which would have told us it wasn't Downs, and I didn't think we needed it. I had a regular ultrasound and a 3D. Both doctors were 99% sure it was Downs. This post was absolutely not fiction. Instead, the mods, and especially you Picaniques, just decided it was. If anyone would like, I'll dox myself. You can see my ID to verify my name, my marriage license, and my husband's death certificate. I will then link you to the news article of the freak industrial accident that ended his life, so you can see it's the same person. As for not choosing hospice for my son, I can't. About a year ago, I myself was hospitalized with severe depression and CPTSD. There is proof of that too. During that time, my late husband's mother petitioned to get control as my son's medical proxy, and got it. I'm fighting it, but it's a long, complicated process. There are competency hearings. There are statements from doctors and evaluations. Unless she opts hospice, which she refuses, I cannot decide that. I have custody. I cannot make medical decisions. She agreed to residential care, which I feel is the second best option. So, he's going into residential care. As for mistaking a child choking with hitting, I was downstairs. I couldn't hear what my older son was saying. I only knew he was speaking. Go punch a blanket or it, a person with weak muscle tone. Then ask said person with weak muscle done to cough. They don't cough normally forcefully. It's more a strong puff, similar to, again, IDK, a muted punch, when you're used to jumping at every strange sound. It's difficult to discern what's what sometimes. So, you Picaniques, anything else you'd like to know? Care to admit I just might be telling the truth. There were identified details I left out, but guess you'll need them. Comment 1. I work at a state institution. 75 years ago, the doctors would have taken the baby at birth and placed it in a residential hospital and told you to forget about it and move on. In your case, it would have been the right thing to do. Forgive yourself. Refocus on your son, who you can have a future with. I know that mentality was wrong for 99% of the babies and children we got in the 1930s to 1950s, but not in this case. This case is exactly why state institutions need to exist. There has to be a place for people like this. I'm sorry you have carried this burden so long. You can heal from this. Good luck. Comment 2. I work with profoundly disabled children every day, so I probably understand better than most. Unfortunately, in the vast majority of cases, a miraculous treatment for brain disease doesn't exist. Especially if there was nothing there in the first place. Most times the best you can hope for is to slow the progression of damage. I'm sorry for what your family has been through, and I wish the best for you. Comment 3. Now this is going to sound fucked up, but that kid and kids, no, people like him don't need to be alive. They should be allowed just to peacefully pass away like they would have done in nature. No natural argument isn't a great argument, as nature is savage and barbaric. But so is having what amounts to nothing more than a bag of flesh that has no hopes of being anything more. Consume someone's life. Hell, keeping someone who is this catatonic or similarly catatonic only so we can feel better about ourselves when they endure such a pitiful existence is kinda barbaric. Comment 4. Coincidentally, I made a comment similar to this about keeping old sick animals alive in a different thread earlier today. I have to agree. For the same reasons. Keeping people with no chance of improving alive is inhumane, and it always ends up feeling like we do it for ourselves as opposed to the suffering person. I feel for Op, and if the government won't let her do the correct thing, then it should be the government who takes care of the child. Edit. I know you don't want to talk with a therapist about this specifically, but honestly, both you and your oldest son will be better off if you both do. Sorry this has happened to you and your family. You definitely didn't deserve this, but therapy will help move forward with your lives. Comment 5 exactly. If there's one person who needs to hear this, it's a therapist. I'm not saying this because I think she can work things out. I agree that giving the kid to a residential home is the best thing for everyone involved. But your therapist is there to talk about something so huge and emotionally exhausting. They can't give you adequate therapy if you're holding this sort of information back. They'll help you cope with the decision, that way you don't have to resort to anonymously posting on Reddit to find validation. If your current therapist isn't understanding of your situation, then you should find a new one. Therapists aren't supposed to be the moral police, so a good one will look past any personal biases they have and help you cope with and overcome your current problems. Comment 6. As a psychologist, I agree 100%. Your therapist is trained to put aside their own shit and deal with this. If you feel you cannot speak with yours, please go seek out a new one. I know when talking to a therapist, many worry that we're judging them. I promise you we are not. We are there to help you carry and unload all of this baggage. Sometimes we are just the person to hold it all for you so you don't have to keep it all in. Please talk to them. It will feel better. Comment 7. Honestly, I think that may be the best only choice for you. While I can't understand exactly what you're going through, I've seen how bad it can be for parents of children with any disorder. It may sound cruel, but I hope doing this can help the bond between you and your older son. I hope everything becomes at least slightly better for you. Comment 8. I've never been in this situation. I've no family like this. I've no children at all. But I would do exactly what Op did, if not sooner. I have seen many children with siblings like this. I have seen many parents with children like this, and I've dealt with many children, and every single time, it's incredibly obvious the harm it does to their family, their mental health, emotional health, sometimes even physical harm. Even the relationship between the normal children and their parents becomes strained and toxic. I absolutely love dealing with kids and do so all the time. But I decided to not have kids simply because of the fact that they might be severely disabled. There's nothing wrong with anything opted. Comment 9. If I was this particular 7-year-old, I would probably want to die, and certainly wouldn't care where I was. Doesn't sound like there is any brain function, or ever was, or ever will be. Doesn't sound like there is a person there at all, or ever will be. If you apply the golden rule, treat others as you would want to be treated, I would have no problem putting your child in a residential treatment facility. Take care of yourself and your other child. Like you said, it should have been done much sooner. The small family just can't cope with this kind of thing. You are doing the right thing. Modern medicine can keep someone's heart beating and keep them breathing, but it doesn't mean they are really alive. Comment 10. Oh, I'm sorry for you because you are obviously having a hard time and emotionally at the end of your rope, which is why you're venting here. I think you'll get lots of hate for posting this. However, that's the last thing you need. You're being honest. You can't handle this. Putting the child in a residential facility may be the right thing to do for your family, for him as well as for you and your other son. You are not harming him. I think you also are still processing your husband's death. I can't empathize with either situation, but it seems like a heavy load. I don't know what I would do in that situation, and no one can judge who hasn't been in your shoes. Comment 1. When I worked in residential care with children like your son for nearly 8 years, it truly made me realize what hell parents of those children go through. I love my patients, but the ones who are totally incapable of interaction are very challenging. There is none of the reciprocation that makes us form love. Babies smile. Even some of my lowest functioning patients would sometimes pat my head or take my hand. You get none of that. I truly believe you are making the one choice that can save you and your other son. And you can still visit your son slowly. Once you're ready, I have nothing but love and peace to send to you. And please see a good therapist about this. You have so much on your shoulders. I am also a single mom. If I could, I would give you a hug. Comment 1. I worked in residential care with children like your son for nearly 8 years. It truly made me realize what hell parents of those children go through. I love my patients, but the ones who are totally incapable of interaction are very challenging. There is none of the reciprocation that makes us form love. Babies smile. Even some of my lowest functioning patients would sometimes pat my head or take my hand. You get none of that doubt. I truly believe you are making the one choice that can save you and your other son, and you can still visit your son slowly once you're ready. I have nothing but love and peace to send to you, and please, see a good therapist about this. You have so much on your shoulders. I am also a single mom. If I could, I would give you a hug. Comment 103 was never the perfect or the best husband. I never cheated or anything. But I was a pretty fucked up person and drank pretty much any time I wasn't working. I never hit her or anything either, but I was afraid sometimes that it would happen sometime when I was blackout drunk. My dad was abusive to my mom, and my family told me I was just like him and would be the same a lot. I guess what I consider bad is she would have to deal with my drunken self-loathing and depression and suicidal thoughts all too often, and she never should have had to, and I don't know why she did. I am near positive that by now she would have smartened up and divorced me. We were only 19 when we got married and 23 when she passed, so the chances of that marriage surviving, coupled with how fucked my head was anyhow, were pretty slim. I would trade what happened in an instant for a life where she divorced me and was out living another life, if that is what it would have become. I would probably hate her and she would hate me. I'd much rather have her alive and hate each other than gone, though. Since we can't comment here anymore, just editing to add. I really think you, Zach13 for viewpoint is pretty shitty. I get that. They are just trying to be nice or something, but it's so fucked up and selfish, I guess. Yes, my marriage ended with us both still very much in love, and a lot of marriages end in bitter feelings or hate. But fuck, I am not going to take solace in the fact that she died before our marriage had a chance to fall apart, if it would have, which I think it probably would have. There is no positive light to put it in. Sometimes fucked up things are just fucked up and you learn to live with them. I don't need to lessen it or say, well, at least this or that about it. It was fucked up, and I would give anything for her to have had the chance at a full life. Comment 1 for I completely understand. I was born with muscular dystrophy and grew up in and around other disabilities all my life. I understand what kind of condition your son is in, and the hard fact is, there is nothing anyone can do, and in order for you and your older son to even try, having a very heavy emotional moral burden is to make a choice, any choice, and you did. That's all a parent can do sometimes, if you know it or not. You are a loving mother. This is the best choice for everyone, especially your youngest. Comment 1.5 I would consider it from a different perspective. It's not so much you can't handle it as much as you have no obligation to condemn yourself to it. There's an understanding in Jungian psychology about the development of personality, childhood psychology, etc. One of the best things you can do for your older and capable child is to be the best example you can be. And part of that is not surrendering your own ambitions and goals to take care of another person. Many people end up in unhealthy relationships because their parents waited on them constantly, and it caused them to mimic that behavior by projecting that caretaker habit onto their partner, friend, or family members. You're choosing to salvage what is left of your lives instead of giving up, and that's the best decision you can make for the both of you. Whatever emotions you have about the situation are yours to resolve. In the same way, it's not your task to resolve the emotions of others regarding it. Hopefully you to start to flourish in your new lives. Comment 16 for what it's worth from a random stranger on the internet. You lasted longer than I would have. Unfortunately, there's no precedent in this life for the burden you have to carry. But luckily establishments exist specifically so you can be free of that burden. What you're doing might seem wrong to some people, but you're saving 3 lives by doing it. Yours, your oldest son, and his unfortunate sibling. It takes a strong person to make a decision like this, and you're going to live with it. But just keep telling yourself that you could have taken the easy way out and left your eldest with no parents. At least now you have a chance at life. Like my grandma used to say, what's right for you isn't always right for everyone. Comment 17 although I won't agree with the way you speak about the younger son, I won't be angry or judgmental. You have your reaction, and you are entitled to that. To answer your question, how would I behave? Fuck, I just don't know. Those stories are in a way YM for assisted suicide. I do have a lot of respect with the way you handle the situation with your older son. Yes, maybe his behavior wasn't the best. But fuck, he's going through a lot for so long. So many parent forget about their healthy child and you didn't. So big respect for that. You are an amazing person. He can feel that way. I do strongly believe you love your youngest son. You gave him care for years. You've been there for him. You also said you wouldn't have care if it was something less intense. I do believe you. Although, the way you describe it, you are overwhelmed. You realized it was too much for you. Maybe it wasn't the case 2 years ago, but now it is too much. You need to take decision for you and your family. If you keep him, you put yourself in a risky situation where because of you being tired, you could make a mistake that would ruin further your life. So with in mind, I think it is a good decision. Even if I don't want to say if it is a good or bad decision, I strongly believe you chosen the best for everyone. Give you time to heal. Maybe leave the door open. Maybe you'll want to see him when you'll feel ready for it. I respect your decision. It is not an easy one. I admire your bravery. I wish you the best, even if it might be very hard to see it. This time, give yourself a hug from my part and also a big hug to your oldest son. Comment 18. That's why I think euthanasia should be legalized. Like, look at your 7-year-old son. I'm not saying like he should die, but this is not living. I'm so sorry for you and for him. IDK if his brain works properly, but he's stuck in a fucked up body and he'll never get better. How can we obligate someone to live like this? He should be put out of his misery. He's suffering and a kid doesn't need to go through this. I don't judge you. It must be hard for you, for your 12-year-old, for your disabled son. Everyone is suffering. You're right to get rid of him. You can't stop your life for a creature who isn't even alive. He's like a dead body. Your decision is difficult, but it's necessary. Comment 19. I don't blame you at all. All I have to say is maybe tell him you love him or something nice before he goes. If there's a person in there, imagine how shattered they'd be to not get a goodbye. He probably doesn't understand what you're saying. I don't know. But if there's someone in there, his last memory of you might be all he'll have. Comment 20. It would have been very easy for you to not notice one of these multiple medical crises until it was too late. Instead, you took good care of him at great cost to yourself and your family. Now, you are planning to put him somewhere where he will continue to be taken care of. You may not love him, and I don't blame you one bit, but you have still been a good mother to him. Comment 21. I don't have children yet, but I get what you mean about kind of looking forward to having a disabled child. Having a disabled child would have its difficulties, but they would still be your child. Having the child you have is my nightmare. I'm so sorry you've lost so much from it. I would like to think that I would have the same strength to do what you are doing, but it must take so much. I'm sorry you have had this card dealt to you. Comment 2. In the past, this child would have been in a care facility immediately. Then facility abuses came to light, and people decided to rightly try to parent children that were different. That's a great change, but the pendulum has swung too far when people like this woman are pushed to the brink. Same thing with letting severely disabled newborns pass. Now doctors try to save everyone. Sometimes the more humane thing is to let someone go. While some of the words cucumber, potato make me uncomfortable, it isn't my place to judge. If you find a good facility and continue to ensure his care is quality, then you have done enough. You are free. I'm sorry that the system failed you with finding a solution from the start. Comment 23. I am so sorry to hear about your situation. I have no clue how I would have handled it myself, but taking a very rational, perhaps cynical standpoint, I say this: you are 3 humans, to the best of your knowledge. The coexistence of you 3 hurts 2 and makes no difference to 1. Putting your son in residential care may facilitate a better life for 2 while remaining indifferent to the same 1 as before. While it may be incomprehensible for some, the life of your older son and yourself are just as valuable as that of your younger son. I hope you one day can stop resenting him. Because he does not deserve it, but also because resentment does not give you or your other son anything good. I wish you all the best. Comment 4. I understand your rage and I don't envy your burdens. But your language is shockingly cruel to a child who has no options and no control over anything. He didn't do this to you. I'm glad he's going to someone else. Edit. I don't really need people explaining her reasons to me. I'm not stupid or incapable of empathy. She's no doubt making the right call, and I can't imagine living her life. I simply have an opinion about her name-calling a defenseless child who has no quality of life. Doesn't make a difference whether you agree with me or not. Comment to 5 agreed. Reading this was hard. I wouldn't judge if she was putting him away because she couldn't care for him, but she treats him like a monster and calls him an object instead of a human. I understand she's under a lot, especially with her husband's death. She's probably mentally ill herself, but this is despicable to read. Comment 26. I don't personally think it was cruel. She seems a bit cold and distant, but really she is just being factual. And it is understandable that she would speak of her child in a distant way if she never had the ability to connect to him as a child or as a person. I think it's hard for all of us to imagine how their relationship must be, and you might think this was cruel based on how you feel about your relationships with children in your life. But she sounds like she really cares about her other son, who she could build a connection with, so I really don't think it's cruelty. Comment to 7. I can't relate because I've never been in your shoes. Hearing you insult him for something that is not his fault and blame him for something he didn't do is shitty and hateful on your end, though. You're making the best decision. I hope you can grow from this. Comment to 8. I think this pretty much sums up why people abort children that they know will be mentally disabled. For all the parents of kids with Down syndrome that love their happiness and gifts, there are dozens more who have had their lives destroyed by such children. You never know the true severity of the impairment until it is too late. This is not a life for him, and it's not a life for you. Do what you need to do. Comment 209 would say the same thing in this situation. We have the ability to detect all sorts of defects before a baby is born. I think Op would have been okay with a Downs child. At least that kid would have been more alive than this kid. It's in these situations that we need those quality of life laws to ensure the ability to end a life due to an absence of living. Comment 30. To some it may border on eugenics, but I believe the choice should almost always be to abort a pregnancy. When you know the child will be disabled, the child's quality of life will be poor for the decades it's stuck on this earth. Comment 31. Holy shit. All the comments praising you and feeling sorry for you have blown my mind. I might have gone the same way if not for words such as non-existent brother or this thing, or this potato or the cucumber. I work with kids like your son. I have dedicated my life to helping them get as much enjoyment out of life as they can despite being born with every fucking shitty rock being thrown at them. I seriously would have had sympathy for you if anything you have said showed even the slightest concern for your son. However, after reading the name-calling and the blatant disrespect for this human being, I judge you entirely. Give him up. Forget about him. That is best for both of you. Comment 30. To you have my sympathies, but you describe this child in some very cruel ways. You ask for our compassion, but you have little compassion towards this child. And also, consider how your next actions will impact your other child. You say you're doing it also for him. But how's he going to feel about his missing sibling? And how will you communicate your actions to him? I'm very sorry for what you're going through though. Comment 33. Some of the descriptions were hard to read, I agree. But I actually feel it speaks more about the level of utter hopelessness, anger and grief. To me she sounds well and truly at the end of the road, and unless it is a road we have traveled ourselves, I think we have to suspend judgment. Therapy is a must for this family. Mom will need to process all her feelings, and may well re-experience the grief of losing her husband and her dream of a family. Maybe all the time she has on her hands may cause a lot of delayed emotion to resurface. The 12-year-old will need support. He will likely feel guilt and anger and may well blame Mom, brother and dad for all this shittiness. A professional to help guide him through this is essential, especially as he'll be hitting puberty and all the hormones of the teen years just to make it harder. I am glad Op has found a solution for her family, and I wish the family all the best for their future. Comment 30. For there will be better days ahead, and you'll deserve them. Edit to add. Don't call him a potato, though, or a cucumber. I totally understand, but don't. You may feel like you've been kicked when you're down, over and over, every day, but calling the kid names is doing the same to him, whether he knows or not. He may be better off dead, but the name-calling is simple and kindness. I don't think you should be sorry for wanting him out of your life. You can't be blamed for that. But I think you calling him ugly names merits a tiny slap on the wrist, but just a tiny, tiny scolding. Again, you and your older son deserve that brighter future and those lighter hearts. Your younger offspring deserves little more than painlessness and dignity. Let's give him that. Comment 305. Hope a lot of your anger fades with time, but I don't think your actions are wrong. Honestly, it sounds like the worst part is that you've waited too long. Putting him in a home is best for everyone. Make sure he gets the care he needs. Make sure others are providing good and proper care. That's all you are required to do. I think that when this is less of a burden, you will find less anger towards him. Give yourself and your older son time to heal and bond. Forgive yourself and then forgive him.